Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Proven and Probable. I'm Maurice Jackson, and joining us for a conversation is Michael Dufresne of Grizzly Discoveries, where high-grade exploration unlocks unparalleled value. Mr. Dufresne, thank you for joining us today, sir.
Good morning, Maurice, and thanks for having me.
Well, great to have you back on the program to get us up to date on the latest exciting developments coming from Grizzly Discoveries. Before we begin, sir, for first-time listeners, please introduce us to Grizzly Discoveries.
Sure. Grizzly Discoveries is a junior mining exploration company. We're working in the south central British Columbia district. It's called Republic Greenwood. We have about 172,000 acres, roughly 6.5 townships. So it's a large land package, and it's a historic district that's produced or got in reserves somewhere in the region of 10 to 12 million ounces of gold and quite a bit of silver and copper, 1 billion pounds of copper. So it's a long known mining district.
It's an exciting proposition, certainly. Now, Mr. Dufresne, I know you have some important updates to provide shareholders, but I wanted to touch on the precious metals and base metal prices as they are the dominant catalyst for your share price moving forward. Beginning with gold, which last night surpassed 2,400. What is your outlook for gold in the short and long term?
Wow. Yeah. 2,400. I'd never thought I'd ever see that kind of price in gold. It's unbelievable. And just as a comment on that, we do a lot of work in Canada and Australia. It is $3,300 Canadian and $3,700 Australian. I think short term it looks fantastic and it's pretty rosy. I mean, long term, what goes up sometimes comes down. You always worry about the downside. But the world has changed. The political instability that's on with wars, the ongoing crisis with bank failures, and the whole BRINKS US dollar issue is really changed the face of the economies around the world. And I think we're seeing a lot of countries going back to the gold standard. And I think, they've been talking about this kind of a price rise for a couple of years now, if not decades. And here it is. It's sort of the bit of the self-fulfilling prophecy, but the fact that we're at 2,400 gold lays testament that it's a very, very important part of our society.
Now, Grizzly Discoveries is a polymetallic company, and I wanted to also touch on, if you would, the other metals that are in your portfolio, beginning with silver.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, a lot of our historic mines that we have on the property were historic silver producers, and I can assure you that the Grizz himself is a silver buff and has always been after the silver. And in fact, the Greenwood district is it's got a lot of epithermal gold, but the skarn mineralization, porphyry related skarn mineralization, is dominantly copper silver with some gold and PGEs. And the district's produced over 1 billion pounds of copper, and in the early 1900s was the single biggest copper producing district in the Dominion. And so it's an important copper district, and we are definitely after copper, silver, and gold, and even some PGEs, as I've mentioned.
In reference to copper, many people may not be aware, but in the next 20 years, we are going to consume more copper than in all of recorded history combined. And by the way, it doesn't stop after 20 years. It continues to grow.
Yeah, look, copper is such an efficient conductor of electricity. We're going down the path of an electrical society. It doesn't matter what, if it's lithium or if it's nuclear or hydrogen cell, you're still got to move electricity. And copper is the way to do it. I've been predicting copper is going to go for a long time. And maybe even more importantly, and a little bit lost in the $2,400 gold, is copper is also at $4.25. Mm-hmm. I expect to see copper in the $6 to $8 a pound range, long term, not tomorrow, but over long term. The mines are getting harder to permit. They're big mines. Production grade has decreased over the last 10, 15 years at all the big mines. We need copper, and it's not easy to get into production. There's lots of it around. It's hard to get into production.
That price actually might seem a little conservative, considering.
Well, I think I've been predicting for, I've been promoting it down when it was in $2 and the $3 range. I think we need to be at $6 or $8 a pound, and I don't think that's going to affect either of our livelihoods either. Like that's a huge change in copper prices, and will bring production, but I don't think it's going to affect our lifestyles, much like some other commodities.
Mm-hmm. Now, Grizzly Discoveries was an exhibitor at the world's premier mining conference, PDAC. How was the conference, and any highlights that you can share from Grizzly's perspective?
Sure. I was there the whole conference. It was busy. I would say it wasn't as bubbly as the prior year, because the prior year, everybody was focused on lithium, nickel, cobalt, all the core battery metals, and critical metals and battery metals. This year, lithium, cobalt, nickel have all taken a significant price hit. So we were starting to see some bubbling, I think. There's still a lot of junior miners that are in the tank, but we're starting to see some financings, and we were starting to see some bubbling about the precious metals, gold and silver and copper, which all three of them, even though the metal prices are great, the junior companies exploring for them have been absolutely hammered.
Oh, they certainly have. And that looks to change, I think, in the near future as well. Now, let's get shareholders up to date on what Grizzly Discoveries is doing to increase shareholder value. Mr. Dufresne, Grizzly Discoveries is compiling one of the largest and growing prospective land packages in British Columbia, comprised of multiple historic mines and resources. Can you provide us with an update on what you and your team have been doing in the last 6 months, along with any results to pass along that have your attention?
Sure. So one of the things we've done is we've got 2 or 3 drill permits that are active. We've applied for drilling at 4 different targets. So we're awaiting our government drill permits. While we were doing that, we had some assessment to do, and we needed to work up some of these drill targets for when we do get our permits. We collected over 800 rock samples and 4,000 soil samples, conducted some ground geophysics, did a lot of prospecting, and that coupled with some strategic acquisitions. There was some ground that came open that we got about 90% of by staking, and we also had a couple of strategic acquisitions. So we are not sitting on our laurels here. We continue to improve our land position. We continue to bring our targets up to a point where we can drill them, and we're just waiting for those drill permits, and we look forward to a big drill campaign the second half of this year.
Are your team members out there right now in the field?
We haven't yet. It's just spring now, but we will be mobilizing to the field in the next couple of weeks.
Now, as previously mentioned, there are numerous historic mines, and we understand there is a mill in the near vicinity. Remind us when that mill was in production and what it would take to get the mill running again, and how will this impact Grizzly Discoveries?
Sure. So it's the old Lexington mine, accompanied by the what they call the Golden Crown or Zip mill. And the mill was built in 2008 by a company called Merit Mining. It's gone through. It's on its second bankruptcy since then. It was in production for 6 months during 2008, and in the late fall of 2008, when that financial crisis hit, it quickly went out of production and on to care and maintenance. It's been well maintained. It has a tailings capacity of 6 to 8 years of production. It's rated at a 500 ton per day mill, and it's a very important part of the puzzle for us. It is in bankruptcy, and recently we submitted a bid for it. We were not successful in getting the bid, but we're not too concerned about that, because one of the reasons it's gone out of production and struggled to get back into production is they need our lands. We have lands, we have dumps, we have resources, and they have limited lands, whoever ends up with this mill. And I see some sort of a cooperative agreement where, we're going to help them and they're going to help us. And, we just need somebody working on that mill and having that mill up and running. Currently, it's on care and maintenance. And, it's a 6 month process and probably a couple $1 million, whoever gets it. And we look forward to working with the group that gets it. So, I think it's an integral part of our future going forward, because we're going to want to be sending ore there.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a win-win proposition in a symbiotic relationship there. So looking forward to seeing what happens out here in the next 6 months. Now, before we leave the project sites, what can we expect from Grizzly Discoveries through the end of 2024?
Yeah, look, I think the first thing is to get our drill permits. We'll be mobilizing to the field to continue our ongoing field work. And the second half of the year is getting to drilling. So that's what we've got on tap. We are going to need to finance over the next couple of months to get ready for our field season. And, to do that, well, we've got to deal with the low stock price, which is a number of reasons for that.
Well, speaking of the stock price, let's touch on that for a moment here. We hear a lot of discussion regarding the stock price. Is there something that your team and or shareholders are concerned about?
Our team, well, we're always concerned when the stock price is down particularly in the 2 to 3 cent range where it shouldn't be. Look, we've been beat up along with most of the other Canadian juniors with what we believe is this illegal naked shorting. There currently is Power Nickel currently has a lawsuit against the TSX to deal with this naked illegal shorting. And to combat that, we've got a lot of shareholders, including the insiders, Grizz himself, and a lot of the board members, and including myself and my family and friends. We've been buying the stock to eat it up. So eventually it'll run its course, and we'll get that stock price up again. It's taken a lot of work, and it's taken a bit more than we thought it was going to.
And for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I am a proud shareholder of Grizzly Discoveries. I've participated in the last 2 financings. I am not selling a single share, and I'm only looking to add to my position. I am thoroughly intrigued and love the value proposition. And more importantly than the value proposition is the people. The people such as Mr. Dufresne and the CEO, Brian Grizz Testo, and the likes of Sibo and Richard Matthews. The list goes on and on. So it's a winning proposition in my view, and it's just a matter of time, and I have plenty of time.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that, Maurice. I'm a proud shareholder myself with me and my family and friends, millions of shares, and Grizz is, he's president and CEO, puts his money where his mouth is, and he's a I don't know what he's a 12, 15 million shareholder. So we all believe in the project. We believe in the company. And there's also some good technical people involved with Joe Price and Jim Gregg, who's part of the Metals Group and Discovery Groups. So we have a team. We have a fabulous project. It's just time and effort here, and we'll get there.
Last question, sir. What did I forget to ask?
Well, I think the main thing I think we talked about was this naked shorting and the depressed stock price. But we got some programs. We're getting some help. Some of the shareholders and some new shareholders in trying to deal with this. And I hope it's going to be pretty short-lived. And I think ultimately I've seen, I'm in a consulting group, and I've seen half of my clients that doubled in price here over the last month. And a lot of financings happen. So I think it's coming, Maurice. And as long as this gold price is really helping, gold, silver prices are really helping us, we will get there and get financed and get our work on the go here this summer.
Well, Mr. Dufresne, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Wishing you and Grizzly Discoveries the absolute best, sir.
Thanks very much. You have a great day and a great weekend. And we look forward to getting in the field.
You as well, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.